Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more. Success to me is not just financial. It can be having an incredible family. It can be having optimal health. It can be having awesome mates. It can be just loving the lifestyle that you have, right? And then obviously financial and career is one of those as well. The Man That Can Project podcast, a podcast empowering career-driven men to live more fulfilling lives. We are here to challenge your beliefs, redefine success, and talk about the important stuff in a relatable way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. My name's Stuart. Let's get into it. Today is a special day because we have reached a milestone. Welcome to episode 500. 500. We launched the first episode back in August 2017. And for those who've been listening for a long time, you know I started the podcast as a way for myself to actually improve my communication. And over time, started interviewing some mates. Then I started interviewing some experts. And then the show's gone on many twists and turns as I've continued wanting to learn and continued wanting to learn to improve my conversation. And now it's really just become such an incredible tool for my own life, but one that so many of you are enjoying as well. So thank you so much for listening. Now, instead of being the interviewer as usual, I'll be taking the guest seat today. My good mate and business partner, Brad, is going to be in the driving seat, and he does a fantastic job. So he's going to be guiding the conversation as we delve deep into my journey, right? The insights I've gathered along the way and how they've shaped me into who I am today. Now, I've always enjoyed being on the other side of the mic, but it's been a while since I've shared my personal experiences and reflections. And in this episode, we'll be talking about building a business from the ground up, how to manage stress effectively, because hands up if you've experienced stress even in the last week. And most importantly, how to create a life you truly love. We've also covered crucial topics like the importance of self-belief, how to continuously challenge yourself for growth, and so much more that I can't wait to share with you. I hope the journey and lessons I've learned inspire and motivate you on your own path. Now, if you love the show, please share it with your friends. You can do this on Instagram, text message, whatever works for you. It really helps support the show, and it means a lot every time you do that. I know it takes a bit of your time. Your support's been absolutely fucking amazing. And we've been going gangbusters, and I'm committed to continuing to bring you the best guests who will inspire you and educate you to live a better life. Also, please take a moment to leave a rating and review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more people like yourself who are on their journey to unlocking their full potential. As I've mentioned multiple times, it also helps me get on bigger and better guests every week, which we have been continuing to do. Finally, I've got something special for you. We're hosting a free webinar on Monday, July the 24th at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, aka Brisbane time. The webinar titled Master Stress, Your Pathway to Better Health and Relationship is designed specifically for men seeking ways to manage their stress more effectively in their daily lives. Don't miss this opportunity to take control of your life. You can find the link to register in our bio or on my Instagram, or just head to themanthatcanproject.com. Thank you for joining me on this special episode. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to the Man That Can podcast. This is one very, very special episode. We have the one and only, the creator of the Man That Can Project podcast and the Man That Can Strong Men of Value Academy. He has impacted thousands of lives through his channels and the academy. He's rode 30 marathons in 30 days, which is a Guinness World Record, but not official. But I reckon I'm going to do it again some down the line. He's been invited to represent Australia recently for the obstacle training in Belgium this year. Can't wait to see how he does in that. He's a husband and a massive positive influence in my life. Welcome.
Up top.
You like that?
Yeah, that was awesome.
I built you up, innit?
Yeah, I built you up only to bring me down in this episode. No, kidding, we're staying up, aren't we?
Yeah. So 500th episode, man.
Well, quickly, who...
What?
Everyone, just before we dive into me, episode 500 was a special one. I was like, who is going to be the man, the legend that can interview me for 500 episodes? Because I was like, let's do a selfish one. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Anyway, Bradley, you're doing the honours, so I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yep, I've got the baton. So 500 episodes, man. Obviously, you've met a lot of incredible people along this journey and stuff. Is there like a significant lesson that you have learned through these episodes?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because you did obviously flick me through some of the questions, and for me, I've learned so many lessons, but the most important one that came out for me was the power of having a vision. Because when I initially started the podcast, it was to improve my communication, right? So that was what I was like, this is what this is going to be for. And as a result of fine-tuning my communication, it led to then looking to go, okay, let's start interviewing some people, which influenced my communication more. And then it's continued to grow and evolve into what it is today. But when I created the vision for myself, I knew that I needed to grow. If I didn't have the vision, I wouldn't have forced myself to grow. It would have been very easy to stay comfortable living the way that I was living. But I knew in order to get to where I wanted to get to, I had to communicate better. I had to build my network. I had to learn to add more value to people's lives than I was currently adding. You know, it's easy to go, I'm not earning enough money because I was driven by money back then, still am. But obviously attach that to a purpose and it's a lot easier to be consistent in what you're doing. So for me, it was having that vision, building the plan to create that, and understanding who you are now is not who you're going to be when you get there.
Okay. Was there like one specific time that you can remember in your life where that kind of jolted you to go down this path of starting this kind of movement, helping men?
Yes. So I was in Austria. I was walking to get a chicken schnitzel and a pint.
Yeah.
And this was 2017 or into 2016. And at this time, I'd built a pretty good following on Instagram as Lachlan Stuart Coaching or Lachlan Stuart Coaching. And I wasn't necessarily coaching at this point, but I was still putting out, empowering content. I was sharing what I was learning and the challenges that I was going through. And it was obviously relatable content because when you start talking about the challenges you have, there's 10 other people that are going through similar things. So you don't feel like you're the only one, you feel supported. And I continued to get these messages and I was like, okay, well, there's an opportunity here for me to get paid to do what I love and what I'm doing anyway. So I asked myself when I was walking to the pub, and it wasn't a very long trip to the pub, so it happened really quickly, was what was the one thing that I would have needed 3 years ago when I was at, my rock bottom, or that could have helped me avoid that, and that was to have access to men from all walks of life who were prepared to talk about what it really took to be successful in their field. And success to me is not just financial. It can be having an incredible family. It can be having optimal health. It can be having awesome mates. It can be just loving the lifestyle that you have, right? And then obviously financial and career is one of those as well. But I wanted them to also be able to talk about it, because there's a difference between people who can tell their story and talk about what they've gone through in a way that is empowering and does teach, as opposed to those who haven't practiced or developed that skill yet. And I thought, imagine just getting all of those blokes into one room and having them do that. That'd be epic. And literally I was like, cool, let's just start a men's circle. So literally in that moment, I was like, let's do it. Put it up on my Instagram stories. I was like, guys, I'm back in Australia on this date. On this date, we're doing a men's circle, open for all men. And I didn't know what the format was going to be. I'd written literally 4 pages because I was going to make it about me. I had this whole thing to talk about what it was, why it's going to be so beneficial. As soon as I got in the room, I didn't use that. We're just like, okay, well, what brought you here? And once one person opened up, it all did. And in that moment, I recognized, okay, well, this can't be Lachlan Stuart Coaching because it's bigger than me. And that's when I sat down with my wife and I was like, what could the name be for this? Because I don't want to be the guy. I want to be able to sort of step back from this. And back then the business model was a lot different to what it is now. But we came down to the Man That Can project because I wanted to empower men to recognize that they could be that guy that can do whatever it is that they want to do. And that was that pivotal moment.
That's amazing. Is that when you did those men's circles? Is that when you was doing them in Newstead out of the cafe? And that's when it all started. When did you actually start that?
That was 2018.
2018. Yeah. How many people was you getting?
30.
She was getting 30 men.
The very first one we had 7 or 8. I'm pretty sure I still have all the photos from everyone we ever did.
Yeah.
And then we got up to 30. And like that was awesome for my ego because, you know, the photos looked awesome, but it took a long time. And I didn't want to necessarily sit there for 3 hours when you could have just as much impact with 10 people.
Yeah.
And so we sort of started limiting them and capping them, and it built really good relationships. But what those events taught me was that we're all going through stuff, and you can really boil down people's issues to some very key or core things that's, you know, I guess putting shrapnel or having a negative ripple effect into people's relationships, into their health, into their self-esteem, confidence, etc. So what I recognized was whether you're the multi-millionaire or you're the 17-year-old guy who's just come out of school, if we can work on these skills, you're going to be able to create a much better life for yourself. And obviously as well, the reason why it's progressed from those, because they were extremely beneficial, we still had the same principle of community in the business, was if I was there, what was the next thing I needed? Because I always wanted to help whoever came to those events go to that next level, not just sort of have them there and feel good and then not give them an actionable step. So it's always been about actioning and what's the next step for myself or an individual.
How would someone go from the next level? So they're in that inner circle, and then they've kind of expressed something that's probably on their mind or whatever, and they've talked it out. What would their next step be?
Well, working out what they wanted to create for themselves.
Okay.
So many men, and I'll just speak not just to the blokes who came to our events, but just in general, don't know who they are or what they want from their life. From a very young age, we go through a process of being told what we should do, and we gain an idea and understanding around what success should look like, the people that we want to hang around with, what will make us or be perceived as successful, right? And quite often that is so far removed from what you actually feel you want, right? I'm guaranteeing you there's going to be lots of blokes listening to this that have that feeling in their stomach that they're here to do something great. They're just not quite sure what that is. And so I've always come back to like simple principles of like identity. Who are you and what do you want? Can you answer that question? Most people have no idea, and it's such a big question. It can be such an overwhelming question.
Yeah, how do I know who I am? What do you mean by that?
It's a game of exploration, right? And this is, people want instant results. You've got a life, you know, you've got your 30 next year.
Soon.
Yeah, it's exciting. Getting over the hill like me. But let's just call it 30, right? You've got 30 years of experience. Within those 30 years of experience, you've got a lot of things that you know you don't want in your life anymore, much like I did. So I knew that I didn't want to be broke. I remember when I first met Amy and I was like, if I have $1,000 in my bank account, I've made it. Like that's going to be the best day ever. I can stop stressing about money. And so I recognized I don't want to be broke. Tick. Right? So in my future self, rather than saying I don't want to be broke, I want to be wealthy. Okay, here's an area of my identity that I need to build. What does wealth look like for me? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to surround myself with? What actions do I need to take in order to achieve that? The same thing goes for health. I hated waking up on a Sunday morning on a come down from drugs or being extremely hungover, having, you know, mental fog at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I was 23 years old. That's not normal. So I go, okay, I don't want to feel like that. Okay, if I don't want to feel like that, the ideal version of myself, how would I want to feel? I want to be clear on, energetic and enthusiastic. Okay, I want to wake up feeling excited about life. I want to love how I feel on a Sunday morning. I want to feel rested. I want to go on holidays and actually come back feeling refreshed, not feeling like I need another holiday. Okay, what do I need to learn? How do I need to set my lifestyle up? Who do I need to surround myself with?
with that health. So you've got wealth.
Yeah, you've got health. You've got mindset.
Yeah. How would I go with that with my mindset then?
Same thing, right? This can go into negative self-talk. I experienced depression, anxiety, lack of purpose, confidence, all that sort of stuff. Like I didn't like who I was in 2013, well, pretty much up until 2013. I didn't like who I was. So it's like, okay, well, what don't I like about myself? I don't like the fact that I didn't have a fucking solid backbone, meaning my arm could be twisted to fit in. I didn't have character. So in order to flip that, it's like, okay, well, what would the ideal version of myself be? I'd be certain in who I am. I'd have boundaries around what behaviors I accept in my life and how I tolerate that. And I just created that. Things changed, right? And I think the scary thing for people is, and for myself was, I didn't want, when you make a decision, you feel like it's, stuck in stone. It's not. None of it is. I may think that's what my ideal self may want. But when I start doing that, I might go, actually, no. You can change it. Fucking change it. But at least I've given myself an action step, something that I can do to improve that.
Be a bit more flexible with it. Make a decision, go for it. Yeah.
Correct. So from the mindset perspective, it's like I needed to get stronger. I needed to become more resilient, and I needed to be confident, right? I just needed to believe in myself. And that's for a lot of people. It's like you need to believe in yourself. I now, and you mentioned at the beginning, I did 30 marathons in 30 days. I did, got the Australian team. There's a lot of things that I've done that a lot of people don't believe I could do. I've never once doubted myself. Never.
Well, and where does that all stem from?
And that's because I know I do the work day in, day out. It's like I have awesome, and look, I don't do it by myself. I've got, yourself, I've got an awesome support network around me that help me do that. And that's not an accident. We built that. Like when I moved to Brisbane, I didn't have a network. I built that to help me achieve what I want to achieve and, have this reciprocal relationship where it's a give and exchange of value. The same with working out how I need to think in tough times. So I put myself through the ringer to experience moments where it's like, you're not good enough, I want to quit. And I experience that every day still, like imposter syndrome. As a business goes through seasons, it's like, fuck, am I really cut out for this? But then you go back to what I mentioned at the beginning, which is like having a vision. I know I'm capable. If you bring it back to what it really is, I'll do whatever it takes to learn the skills. I'll do whatever is necessary to win at whatever I'm trying to do, with as long as it's ethical, right? But I've got the work ethic to back it up. So because I believe that about myself, I've made myself believe that about myself. Anything that gets thrown at me, I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it well. I remember saying to you at the Spartan race last year when we did it, and I was running back and forth, playing around. I was like, I bet you I can win this.
You could. Yeah. I was like full blown gassing. You was long gone in front, and then I'd see you and he goes, yeah, I just thought I want to enjoy it as I was going and running, I was like, I'm doing this on my own. I came here to enjoy it with the lads. So you actually ran back and I'm puffing and you're just like, yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. And then I realised, like, fucking hell, man, you could do really well at this. I'm gassed and you're just like running up, coming back, running up.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so you've got wealth, you've got health, you've got mindset. Lifestyle. So that's another area someone needs to sit down, have a look at my lifestyle. Okay, how do I want my lifestyle to look?
Yep. Relationship. It's like, what relationships do you want it to look like? What do you want your...
Is that within lifestyle? Is that another one?
That's just another one. Like, these are all key areas, but they help you build your lifestyle.
Yeah. So work on my health. So we've got wealth, health, mindset, lifestyle, and relationships. Yep. Have those written out, for example. Yep. And then kind of branch off, think about each one, sit down, what do you want?
Yeah. We normally do it as 6 of... Yeah. But anyway, essentially you do that, right? You got to sit down and think about what you actually want. People don't give themselves time to sit down and think about what they actually want, which is why they aren't getting what they think they deserve. Okay? It takes time to do that, and it takes, sometimes you have to look at parts of yourself or experiences that you've had in your life that are uncomfortable. You may not like how you acted. You may not like the results you got. You may not like that you were isolated or lonely, right? There's a lot of people have pain in their life. You can't go through life without pain. But you can utilize that to go, I don't want more of that. So what do I need to learn? The mindset I need to develop, the people that I need to be around in order to make my life better than that. Once you've got that, dude, it's game changing.
Yeah. So say these areas, say I'm looking at, for example, my health, right?
Yep.
How do I know where I want it to be? Am I doing this based on other people? am I looking at positive influences and like, I want that, I want to see if I can head towards that, and then it's a matter of doing it, and then, okay, maybe it's not for me? Is that where you're feeling that this is how I should go about it?
You can use them as a reference point. So I look at all people and, for example, a coach that I had in the past, one of his areas of his life didn't match up with mine in regards to relationship. So when I recognized that a lot of the stuff that he was telling me to do, while it was beneficial and it was working well for him, I wasn't prepared to do it because of the sacrifice, because everything you do comes with a cost. So I wasn't prepared to do what he was recommending I do in order to achieve that outcome, because I didn't want to sacrifice my relationship. So if you're looking at health, use reference points. Use people that you look up to or you aspire to be like. And let's say, for example, I look at you for someone who I aspire to be like from a health perspective, right? In many other areas, but we'll keep it on health. I look at the way that you prioritize your nutrition, you prioritize restoration, you prioritize movement in itself, and you're continually looking at different modalities of fitness, right? That makes you like the brains child of health to me. So I go, okay, I can learn a lot from Brad in regards to that. But what aspects of what Brad knows do I want to put into my own life based on how I want to live my life, right? You've got a beautiful partner. You've got 2 daughters, right? So your lifestyle is a little bit different to mine overall, meaning health's going to be a little bit different for me in regards to that. So I need to know, okay, if I have children in the future or if I live an active lifestyle, what standards do I want to have for myself? What are the benchmarks? And you can use normal testing, things like strength standards that we've got in the academy. You could have like a 5K, you could have whatever it is, but make a benchmark for yourself. And it might be that in 30 years, you want to be able to run 5K under 30 minutes. So making sure that you maintain that, because why would I want to have 5K under 30 minutes? It means I've got good aerobic capacity, I can move well, I can recover well. That's going to give me good long-term health. That's important to me for my future. So I can use reference points based off how people, the reference points that may be a negative one for people is once they're 30, they're over the hill, they get the dad bod, the body starts breaking down. That's an old way of thinking, right? We're living through this time where people now recognize that health is what you make it. You can be still competitive. You can still have an incredible life once you're over 50. You can move well. You can be pain-free if you prioritize that.
Yeah. It's interesting. In terms of like all those areas and stuff, what do you feel like the most common challenges or pressures that men face when it comes to like their personal growth and well-being? Like, what is kind of the main area someone would come to you and ask Lockie about in men? What do you find that? What do you think that is?
It's like I was saying to you earlier, where I said, regardless of what the issue is, like whether it's they're struggling with their relationship, right? They're not feeling value, or they're insecure, jealousy, or whether it's with their relationship with alcohol, they're drinking too much, whether it's they feel like they just don't belong or have a good network, it all comes back to that identity piece. Like if we can simplify everything, most issues stem from, let's call it a root cause, like something a bit deeper.
Do you have a most common one though?
Identity.
So identity crisis, like people just don't know who they are.
They don't know what they want.
They don't know what they want.
Yeah, which also translates to they don't know who they are.
Yeah, okay. And that's a matter of like going through those kind of areas and sitting there and giving yourself time to think about it. Because I find it's easy to consistently be distracted with lots of things in your house. Like you finish your job, you get home, and the last thing you want to do is kind of sit there with a piece of paper and write out the 6 key areas of life and what my life wants to look like. So I'm guessing it's like taking that time to sit there and really think about it with your partner, with yourself, and what you really want. So it's taking that time. And like, this might sound really simple question, but how much should I be doing this until it's all figured out? Should I be working this every day?
Until you feel like you're in control. If that's what's important to you, look, if you break it down, like people experience anxiety, overwhelm, stress on a regular basis. When you're in a state of overwhelm, you don't know what the next step is. That's generally what's going on, because there's a million things going through your mind. If you are clear on, let's just say, what your ideal life's going to look like, the thing that you're getting up every day and working towards, you break that down and work backwards, right? You can then break that down into this 12 months. This is the benchmarks for myself that I would like to hit in order to make progress towards that. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, just to recap, that when you're making progress towards things, you might recognize that that's not what you want, and that's okay. Pivot, right? Make a new decision.
Don't be stuck in that way.
Don't be stuck and go, I've wasted time. It's like you haven't wasted time because you wouldn't have known had you done that.
So learn from that.
Exactly. And then you break it down to like your daily routines and habits. It's like this is what you do on a day-to-day basis. My weeks are very similar. I have some priorities that I just do consistently. Nothing outrageous, but it's what I continue to do day in, day out. It's why.
What's that?
Mate, wake up at the same time. So I wake up at 4:10. I read. I write. I stretch. I then go see clients face-to-face for 4 or 5 hours. Then I go back to the office. I look at content, or we've got sales calls. I read again. Generally, I'll do a podcast at some point during the week. Then I'll train, and then it's time with Amy.
And that's kind of the same most days. So you have like a routine.
Yeah, it's because the reason why routine is so powerful is you want to eliminate decision fatigue, meaning making too many decisions that aren't really the consequence or the impact of that decision isn't huge. Right? If someone were to ask me, could I do something today? If it's between this hour and this hour, I generally know I've got things in there. Even if I don't, but that's generally what's happening. I've made time for the things that are important to get me to the goals that I want financially, having the relationships that I want, maintaining the health that I want to have, and upskilling and keeping my mind in order. They're important to me. Okay? Anything outside of that is like the free time. I can plan a lot of stuff, but it means that I don't have to say, oh, let me get back to you. It's just like, nah, it's not available.
Yeah.
Or it is available. It's available in that time or it's not. So I'm trying to eliminate those decisions, but also create momentum, right? When you're not having to think about things, you're just focusing on the same thing day in, day out, you can create momentum. You know, you mentioned earlier, at what point would I pivot? Like people got to get into momentum to experience success. It's like, for example, in business, I've always had the work that I'm doing now will pay off in 3 months. To do things consistently for 3 months is hard and not see an outcome, not see a result. But it generally takes, that's a short amount of time in order to achieve an outcome. And I just know if I just keep doing the same things day in, day out, I'm going to achieve the outcome. It's the reason why, I'm not even that fit at the moment for what I will be in 12 weeks now that I'm training specifically. But because day in, day out, I eat well, I prioritize sleep, I train hard, I train smart, I was fit enough to achieve an outcome that I set my mind to, I didn't even know it was there, sort of thing.
So having that routine is going to allow you to really dial down those 6 areas or work on them. And then also...
Well, you prioritize time as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like within the routine that you've created for yourself, or let's call it time management, I should be able to look at your diary for the week and I'll tell you how good your life's going in certain areas. If relationships are important to you, if you're in a relationship or you have children and you don't have allocated time for the children, I can tell you it's probably not going that well for you because you're not going to be intentional with the time that you have. You might bring stress home from work and take it out on the kids or out on your missus or not help around the house, which is adding value to your relationship because it isn't scheduled in there. Look, when you've got scheduled meetings, whether it's a sales call or catching up with a client or whatever it may be, you're going there with an intent. And when you've got an intent, you know how you want to show up. You can't go into a sales meeting being sad and depressed. Do you think that's going to get the sale done? It's not.
No.
You go in there going, I need to be confident, assertive, and I need to deliver value. That's how I need to be. So when you start managing your time and using those 6 areas based on this is what I need to do daily in order to improve my relationship, my lifestyle, my physical health, my mental health, okay, just do that. The outcomes will take care of themselves.
So just be consistent with
consistent.
those actions. Yeah. Let's do a bit of role play on here. So let's say, okay, I'm stressed out at work. My health is not great.
Yep.
I'm working shitloads of hours.
Yep.
I don't really have much time for my family and friends. And when I do, I'm knackered. I don't really want to do much. I just want to sit on my couch and watch TV. I want to sort my shit out. Where do I start?
It's a big issue, that.
But like,
No, yeah, no,
do you know, in some people, because I have clients as well, some people just unload loads.
Yep.
For me, I'd go, let's just focus on one area.
Well,
but
yeah.
how would you kind of go about it?
It's got to come back to you. Like, we got to do one thing for you.
Okay.
Once again, it's simple. You mentioned multiple things, so we could do multiple things. Right?
So I don't know which one to start with, though. What am I going to do?
Which do you think you're going to stick to? So for any given person, like, even though, for example, for us, it's very easy to say, oh, let's do exercise, right? Because you feel awesome after doing it. It's very tangible. Did you get in the gym? Are you seeing like, there's so many benefits as to why exercise is the best fucking one.
Well, you get instant feedback straight after the exercise, straight after the workout.
Yeah, and you get, there's so many things, right?
So you'd start with health, getting their health in order.
9 times out of 10, but if the individual doesn't feel they're going to get into the gym, I'd be like, what's the one thing you think you're going to commit to give yourself time? It could be as simple as, hey, let's sit on the balcony, which is what I used to do when we had a balcony, drink a coffee and listen to a podcast for just 10 minutes. That's you time. That's Lockie time.
So basically start implementing some time for myself.
Yes. Time for you.
Okay.
Within the time for yourself, you're going to start, that's self-respect. When you respect yourself more, you're more likely to take action to create positive change in your life. You're more likely to be assertive around boundaries that you think are important to you. When you start doing this, you start putting yourself back in control. It's very empowering, feeling like you're in control of your life. So what then generally happens as a result is, once you start making progress at some area, if it is the gym, if it is that coffee, you go, I'm ready for the next thing. It all starts with an apple a day, right? Like, if you have an apple a day, you start, I started the day with apple instead of sugary cereal. Man, I might actually drink some water today to wash that apple down. I've eaten my apple. I'm now drinking water. Fuck it. I'm going for a run. These habits start stacking based off of that first step.
So let's say, okay, I've said that I'm stressed and all of this and I've not really got much time. So now I'm going to go home and I'm going to practice a bit of self-time. I'm going to listen to a podcast 10 minutes a day. For how long? Like a week or two? Doesn't really matter.
As long as it feels good. And if it doesn't feel good for you, change it up. Try something different.
Any podcasts? Like, just listen to anything?
I listen to, so what I even was listening to on the drive over here, you just type in motivation on Spotify.
Yes.
Or whatever. Literally, listen to some positive stuff.
Listen to some positive stuff for 10 minutes a day. and then where do I go from there?
What's the next thing that you feel would be beneficial? For me, let me ask you.
Well, I'll say that I'm still pretty stressed. I'm still lacking on time, but I'm still doing this 10 minutes. I'm starting to notice that the motivation is helping me. I'm learning new things about.
Yeah, so let's focus on stressing, because stress is the
I keep bringing that up.
It's a thing you keep bringing up.
I'm still stressed.
You're still stressing. So we need to work out where the stress is coming from. Everyone experiences stress, and there's acute stress, which is meaning short term, and it's a good. I believe it's a good thing, because it's a sign that something's not right, or we're being challenged and there's the opportunity to grow. We then look at chronic stress, which is long-term stress, which ain't good, because your body needs the yin and yang. Your body needs the rest and digest and the fight or flight just to give and take. But if you're chronically stressed, you ain't giving yourself that.
I feel like it's the workload then. I feel that
there we go.
That's where my stress comes, because I'm at work all the time.
Okay.
Which is then stressing me out, because then in the other areas, like my relationships are...
Boom. All right. So let's go. Now what's happened, we've now become aware of where the stress is coming from. Your workload.
Workload, yeah.
Okay. So...
I'm 9 to 5.
Yeah. So you're actually pretty good, right? 9 to 5. What specifically about the workload is it?
I'm at my computer screen, probably... Okay. I'm not really getting out of the chair more. It's a lot of workload.
Yeah. So you're just sitting there from 9 to 5, literally not getting up.
Yeah,
so,
and it's consistent.
Awesome.
Emails, everything.
And that's your career. That pays your income, which allows you to put food on the table, right? So we've now accepted that stress is part of what you do.
Yeah.
Correct? So once you accept, so let's go point 1, you're aware. Point 2, you've now accepted that it is what it is, right? And you've got, some people can say, well, quit your job. Okay, but if I quit my job, I can't pay my mortgage and I can't put food on my table. Okay, that's not your reality. That's fine. And we'll do this very loosely. We go deeper into this. But if we've now accepted that's your reality and you're going to be in front of the computer screens, is we need to reframe or shake that day up so that you can get a little bit of breaks, right? So you're saying you're not getting up at all during the day. No. You're at work for 8 hours or whatever it is. Every, let's say 50 minutes, set an alarm on your phone for 50 minutes, and you're going to get up and go outside for 5 minutes every hour. And then you just restart that alarm. You're not going to take your phone, or maybe use your watch so you know it's 5 minutes. You're going to just go out, look at the trees, or go for a lap around the block. Then you're going to come back up and do some work.
It's like a brain break.
Yeah, it is a brain break.
Give the girls them.
Yeah.
Brain break, iPads and phone away.
Let's go. But you're creating what's called a pattern interrupt.
Yeah, okay.
Right? If you're constantly looking at anything, you're not allowing yourself to come up for air. You need to come up for air. Fresh oxygen in, carbon dioxide out.
Yeah. Breathe.
Right? It's the same thing, and anyone can implement it in their day. And a lot of busy people say, I don't have time to do that. I'm like, well, take your phone calls outside and go for a walk. Okay, there's so many different ways. Or you might say every hour, just do 10 squats. Just find a way to break it up. Other things you can do for the stress, though, is looking at like writing things down. So you become aware of it. You got to accept it. You need to work out how you can reframe or change that stress. And then you've got to implement something new or implement that strategy, as we mentioned. So walk around the block, journal, jump in a cold pool, do some breath work. There's so many different things, and you've got to find the thing that works for you, right? It's building your toolkit, because some days breathwork works amazing for me. Some days I don't want to do it, but I know an ice bath will work, or I know reading a book, or I know watching a funny TikTok, which then takes you down a rabbit hole. But you got to build your toolkit. But at the end of the day, it's coming back to you taking responsibility for everything. If stress is something that we know that everyone experiences, we should be learning about stress management.
Yeah.
Have to learn about stress management. Because for those who are listening, it's like, think about when was the last time you said, I'm stressed? I said it this morning.
What would you, I know you said that you got to work out kind of what kind of stress management tool works for you, but could you name some stress management like ways I can help manage my stress? So you've said like writing things down might be a way, taking some time out, which I'll have to start practicing. It's not me, by the role play. But we'll take some time out. I give myself like 10 minutes every hour.
Yep.
So giving yourself time to breathe, a break from devices, a break from screens. What else could I do? Ice baths, you said.
Get help. So, and what I mean by getting help, what can you do? For example, it's all right. So if we use our business as a way of stress, which it does cause stress, you then go, what can I outsource to take things off my plate? Because the more you can specialize in something, the more you can eliminate overwhelm, meaning create less tasks for yourself. So one, you can outsource them to other team members. Two, you can go, is this really a priority, or is this just something that makes me feel like I'm being productive and it's not that important? To then, I just lost my train of thought then. I was on a roll too.
So stress management strategies. Yeah,
I was going into the third one there. No, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I was on an absolute banger there too. No, it's all good.
Okay. So if you got any kind of, so I've said that I'm stressed out. I've now started practicing these 10-minute thing breaks at work. I've started to write out. I've started to write, to journal about how I'm feeling and so on. What kind of next? Like I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm starting to feel I'm not too much as consumed as work than what I was, because I'm giving myself that break.
Yeah.
What got to start with then? Because I still want time with my family and stuff.
Start allocating time to your family. You're working 9 to 5. There's no reason why you shouldn't have time with your family.
So just an excuse.
Yeah, of course it is. If you're working 9 till 5, right, 9 till 5, you've got, even if you get up at 6, you've got 3 hours before work. Take out 30 minutes for commute. You've got 2.5 hours to spend with family. Same with the afternoon. If you put on a 30-minute drive or commute, say till 5:30, you've then got time for family.
I've got time for my health as well, like training and stuff.
Of course you do. It's the exact same thing. Allocate time. It doesn't always need to be an hour for health. It doesn't always need to be 3 hours for family. It's like you could have 30 minutes, but what do you want to achieve in that time? What's the intent? Is it that you want to have great connection with your wife or your significant other? What does that look like for you? Is it physical touch? Is it going for a walk? Is it having a conversation that you need to have? Be intentional with the time. Same with exercise. People will go, I can't train, I don't have an hour a day. You don't need an hour a day. You could do, a Tabata, which is a 4-minute workout. It's quite intense. That's exercise. But that would then tie into the goal of exercise. What role does that play? Same with relationship. What role does a relationship play in your life?
Yeah, okay.
So when you're clear on that, you can start going, okay, well, this is how much time I need to allocate to get things done, just like we do at work. So if you've got to get emails done, how long does that take? How can I become more efficient there so that I can spend more time doing things that maybe need more time? Because many of us, because we don't have intent, we're fucking lazy with things. Right? It's like, okay, let's think about this. I'm making this up as I go. But you're on the top of a 12-story building. Okay? I'm going to go 2 examples. And I say, Brad, I'm going to time you to get to the bottom. Are you going to, obviously, going down the stairs, not jumping.
I was going to say.
You're fucking heavier you are, the faster you fall. No, but run to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say it takes you 3 minutes. But if we were standing up at the top, right, and you saw a plane come, this is a very let's not use this analogy, but let's just say something's wrong with the building, right?
Yeah.
You got to get to the bottom of that building as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And you know, if you don't get down there in 2 minutes, the building's done.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to move a lot faster, right?
move.
The intent is there. So you got to put intent into things that create urgency for you to get things done.
Yeah,
Because you know why you're doing it. Because most people are doing things in their life and they don't know why they're doing it, which is why they take so long to do it and they feel so unfulfilled.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that people are doing is like, stop doing it. Why would you do it if it doesn't add value to your life?
That probably leads us on to the next question. So in terms of like...
Hold on, do you feel de-stressed now? That was really hard.
No, I like that. Yeah, so it's kind of... What I've kind of got from that is you've got to sit there and give yourself time to think about why you're stressed. And once you've done that and figured out, okay, exactly what it was. So for me, it was kind of the workload and not giving myself time.
Yep.
Actioning it, actually doing something about it and doing that daily. And then that comes down to having a bit of routine with it. Yep. Consistent with that. And then over time should not start noticing the changes. Then I'll work on the next thing. That might be my relationship. Okay, now I've got to allocate time.
Yep.
That doesn't have to be 3 hours. It could be half hour.
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting from that. So it's not as hard as what probably some people make it out to be. It's like focus on one area, do that, and then we can move on to the next. We don't have to master all these areas at once.
Yeah, it's just do less. Like I think about when I'm stressed and let's say finances, I don't understand what's going on, which means I need to upskill in order to feel like I have more control over it. When you feel like you have more control over things, you're not stressed. There are so many things in life you can't have control over, meaning there's so many variables. Use a farmer, the weather, they could plant the best crop ever and then it could flood, right? That's out of their control.
Yeah.
But a fucking stressful situation. But then you can start going, I need to learn more about weather. There's so many things that we can learn about to improve our ability to deal with risk or stress. Okay, so that's another important part that I don't think I touched on. But if you want to have, things that get me stressed, you might look at and just go, why is he stressed? That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's all relative to the individual. But if you're aware, as you mentioned, of what's causing you stress, you can then start putting things into place to increase your ability to deal with stress and manage stress.
Yeah. I think for me, like this is a really simple concept that I have in my head, but it's if I can't control it, then why stress about it? You know what I mean? If it's not in my control, then just let it go.
Yep.
And just do the thing that I can.
Okay, question
control.
for you. How do you work out what's in control for you and what's not in your control?
Or if I can actually do something about it. I don't know how else to answer it.
Yep.
If I can, I don't know, for example, I can't control someone's mind, how they're going to think. So I don't worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I like it.
Does that make sense?
100%.
So that's how I look at it. I suppose I've not really thought about it, but that's kind of my simple...
But this is the beautiful thing, right? When people respond with, I haven't really thought about it, the first thing you should do is go away and think about it. It's like an opinion. Most people, when asked what their opinion is, they haven't actually thought about it. They just go, oh, Bradley's asked me my opinion. I'm going to use collective information based off what John said, Terry said, my wife said, and that's my opinion. Blah. I don't even believe it.
Yeah.
rather than going, actually, I haven't thought about that. Let me go away and think about that and form your own opinion. Most people don't have opinions, just like they don't really aren't clear on what they want and who they are. So it all comes back to thinking, right? It's why there has always been the yin and the yang. There's times for output and there's time for input. You need both.
So we've got to give our time to actually think about these things.
Yeah, thinking such a big. Every morning when I'm writing, I'm thinking.
Mind wandering. I'm
literally answering questions. Like yesterday, I did. I'm not even going to bring it up because you'll ask me about it, and I haven't finished it. Carry on.
Okay, we'll move on because
time is of the essence.
Time. So, in terms of like people going on a personal development journey, what are like the most kind of significant misconceptions or stereotypes about personal development that like you aim to kind of challenge and like debunk? Through your work, through your podcast.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things for us is vulnerability and emotions is something that men experience. I think that the beautiful thing about the podcast is I started by sharing my own challenges, from insecurities to ways that I, messed up, to what I'm thinking, to how I want to think differently. So other blokes out there who are going, fuck, I relate to Lockie because I had that same thought, right? You feel like instant connection once you hear that. But the main one now is helping men, or helping challenge the narrative that if you're working on yourself, it's not because you're broken, it's just because you want to be better, right? It's perspective. We're all fucked up, really, if you want to look at it plain and simple. We are. But I look at it through the lens of I just want to be better. The things that I'm not happy with, I know someone out there has the answer for me to fast track my success in that area or to get better. And that could save my relationship. That could save my business. That could save my life, ultimately.
So you look at it, it's a different mantra altogether, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm doing this to be better. It's not because there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and as soon as we can get blokes to start flicking that switch, more people are going to be putting their hand up and they're going to be living better lives as a result. But if they keep going through, I don't want people to think I'm a failure or, I'm messed up here, it's like, well, it's going to be really hard for you to take that next step, which is to accept that about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Once you accept things, you can then change them. But if you're not going to accept it, you're not going to change it.
Is there anything at the minute you're struggling with or something that you're continuing to work on, like within your self-development journey?
Yep. Multiple things.
What's
I think self-worth and imposter syndrome, I feel, and I'll use the podcast as an example. Every time I'm on an episode, I'll start an episode, and this is something that I'm wanting to work on. I'm always just like playing up on the guest. I'm like, and when I say play, I mean like, oh, it's so awesome to have you here. It's very exciting, and which it is. But I'm almost putting this person on a pedestal.
I did at the start of this.
Yeah, and it's because I think that I don't deserve to be where I am.
Yeah, okay.
I don't feel, it's like, even for the podcast, right? So I played elite level footy. I've done all of these things, but I never had a profile before starting the podcast. The reason why the podcast has grown has just been through doing it for 5 years and learning and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas some people come in, they have a profile and they bring an audience to it. So because of that, when I'm interviewing people who have an audience or who have a lot of credibility in certain fields, I'm like, fuck, I'm well out of my depth here. But I also, when I think about it logically, I'm like, no, I'm not. They wouldn't be sitting here if you hadn't created the platform that has the reach that does that, or you're half switched on with certain things. So,
where do you feel that kind of stemmed from? Like you having this way of thinking?
Oh, mate, like I think everyone experiences it. I think when you, going back to what you mentioned earlier, like can we get reference points from others? We're always comparing. So there's moments where I'm like, I've been doing this 500 episodes, I should be much bigger. Or my business should be much bigger. Or then you have comparison, you're like, I'm crushing it. And so depending on what you choose to focus on makes you feel a certain way. And once again, if you're not being intentional about how you want to think about yourself, meaning I prime myself now for these podcasts where I'm like, I fucking deserve to be here.
Okay.
I know a lot of stuff.
So through mental rehearsal of the logic about what you've done and actually achieved, that kind of breaks that imposter syndrome.
Well, if you think about it, what's the imposter syndrome come from? It's me telling myself bullshit stories.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be telling myself a story anyway, why not make it a one that's beneficial for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all self-talk is. You say it enough, you believe it, and then you act better. Because when you're thinking, let's use this. I come in here and I deserve to be in the room. Right? I deserve my promotion. It's a lot. You're going to act a much different way than if you walk into the room and go, I don't deserve to be here. No one wants me to be here.
Yeah,
you're probably going to be a shell of a person as opposed to someone who walks in wanting to introduce yourself to people.
You're setting yourself up.
And all that is mental preparation or mental rehearsal, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, you learn about this through knowledge, things that you learn and experience. If you don't learn or experience different things, you wouldn't know any wiser, and you'll be stuck in that kind of imposter syndrome mentality, right?
Yep.
So something that really stuck with me is, I can't remember who said this, but it was like, if you don't feel like an imposter,
You're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. And that actually stuck with me, and that's something I think about quite a bit, because obviously if I'm in that room and I feel like an imposter, obviously that's growth.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I'm going to grow in this room because maybe I don't know as much as these people in here, but that's good, because now I'm going to be on their level, and then I'll go to the next room.
Yeah.
So it's just growth. Feeling like an imposter and feeling like you're in the wrong room is actually a good thing. So there's another kind of like mind flip.
Mate, bang. Well, it's like when I first wanted to hang around millionaires.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Jen and Jono on the podcast, who were the first millionaires I went away with. But I remember just going, oh man, I would love to hang around them, see what they talk about. And I want to run a promotion. And I was like, fuck, I'm going away with some millionaires. I went away with 6 of them, 7 of them. Anyway, we're all sitting around, they're all human. I'm like, wow. But I still felt like an imposter. I was earning bugger all money, but they're all multi-millionaires. And I'm like, then I walked away going, I'm going to go tell my mates all hang around with millionaires. And all of a sudden now I'm being put up on a bit of a pedestal from them. And all it is you're climbing this ladder that we've created for ourselves. And all that ladder actually ever does is build your self-belief or your self-worth. You don't need to have the experiences with millionaires or all the things that we think have to happen to do that. We can do that ourselves. But when we can validate it by getting to experience those things, that's when we're like, it's game on.
Yeah,
you get to be in that room, and then you get to go to the next room.
By physically experiencing it as well, yeah. Awesome.
100%.
All right, man, I'm going to move on to the next bit. So I love to know about, I mean, you've kind of told us briefly what you get up to in a day life, but a little bit more in detail I'd love. But I really like kind of knowing what people get up to in their day, what a usual day looks like. You've told us a little bit, but in terms of like what podcasts you listen to, all those kind of things,
yeah,
I'd love to know that. So if you can give us like a quick, like 1 minute run through of how your day looks like, to a book you read, to a podcast you listen to kind of, I don't know, give me what your usual dinner is. That'd be awesome. When you go bed, I like to know these things because obviously you're a high performer. You've learned a lot about performance and all this. Like, where does it start with you when you get up?
Do you know what the easiest thing I'm doing right now is? I've got my calendar open.
Go on then. Practice what you preach.
Yeah. So the book I'm reading at the moment, I'm reading 2. I'm reading iGen again. iGen. So I always...
Hold on one sec. I'll start a minute because we time, yeah? Here we go. Boom.
All right. So I always find books that are going to answer questions to the biggest things I need to learn about. So it could be anything in business or life, right? That's what I'm reading at the moment.
iGen, yeah.
I'm reading iGen.
And how long will that you do in a day?
I normally try to read 30 pages.
Okay.
So, or if I'm listening on audio, whenever I'm traveling or whatever, I'm always listening to audio. I then write 10 minutes of writing. I just either brain dump or I try to answer a question that someone's asked me or something I don't understand, because then I can find information to fill the gaps later on. Then I'll go see clients for about 4 or 5 hours. After that, I'll go eat. So generally for me in the day, it's like whatever. And I'll have leftovers from dinner and a coffee and then crack on, which is generally a protein meal with veggies and whatever Emma's cooked, which is awesome. Then I'll train. Training at the moment, I'm allocating 2 hours to training, so that way I can do my obviously session and make time for stretching, etc. Then generally I'll have 1 to 2 more clients in the Arvo on Skypes or whatnot. Then I'll read, a bit more upskilling, so it's either reading or doing a course online.
We're over a minute, but continue.
I'll stop. And then I spend time with Amy. Like,
How much time do you and Amy have together? Like in the evenings, do you have?
Oh, if she's busy, it just depends on the evening. But most times we'll have like 3 hours,
Oh, that's good.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like for us, we might go for a walk. We'll catch up. We'll talk about, because we've got a podcast together. We've got we've got investments together. So we've got stuff to talk about. And then I also learn guitar as well. So I'm always playing guitar, and so 10 minutes of French, 10 minutes of guitar a day as well.
So like a lot of development through your day.
Well, I just love it, right? And I think a lot of people may not like, and I think the good thing about spending a lot of time with you is you help remind me that you got to do fun stuff as well. But to me as well, I love learning, right? It's something I genuinely enjoy. Like I'm happy as buggery when I'm playing the guitar, or I'm learning French, or I'm reading. Like I like that.
Yeah.
There's not many things I would trade that for.
Yeah, you enjoy learning more. Yeah.
And I get my I get a fix of everything. So I'm stoked. I don't feel like anything's depleted.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
And obviously your calendar helps that.
100%.
Mate, I've got some quick fire questions.
Oh, I'm nervous about it.
You don't even know these.
I know.
All right, we're going to do a quick fire. I'm not going to give you any more than like 10 seconds to kind of give me an answer. All right? So I will time each one. You ready? In a parallel universe where the man that can never existed, what do you think you would be doing instead?
Something to do with sport.
Something to do with sport. Okay, anything in particular? You got 5 seconds.
I'd be competing. I'd be finding a way to compete.
Okay, awesome. All right, next one. Favorite book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Favorite podcast?
The Man That Can Project.
Good answer.
No, Diary of a CEO.
Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
If you had the power to project yourself into the future or the past, where would you go?
Fuck, I don't want to go anywhere.
Nowhere?
Past. I'm happy where I am.
All right, perfect. Okay. If you was to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Motivating, empathetic.
Fuck.
Huh?
Pathetic.
Empathetic.
I thought you said pathetic. I was like, what are you going on about?
Motivating, empathetic, and supportive.
Okay. If you could have any celebrity as a guest on your show, who would it be?
Oh, man, that is such a big question. I reckon Luke Combs.
Luke Combs?
Yeah.
You might meet him.
Mate, I reckon I'm that close to meeting him, man.
All right. Favorite thing to do in your downtime?
I love learning, man. So
awesome. We got it, man. All right. That's a wrap.
we got it done.
You got it done.
Mate.
500th episode in the bag. Mate, you're an inspiration, man. Massive positive influence in my life. I'm always learning from you. I love the stuff you do. That's why I've obviously joined the academy with you as well. I look forward to our future together, but it's been emotional.
Mate, thank you so much for hosting as well. That was good fun. It's fun to be on the other side of the mic. Selfish, but fucking loved it.
Who you got next on the next podcast, 501?
501 is Jeffrey Morgan, who spent 18 years in prison for theft and a lot of stuff. A really inspirational story. He runs a massive 7-figure company as well, so he's turned his life around. Then we've got some banging guests. I've already recorded the next couple, and awesome. It's getting good.
We look forward to listening to them. Nice one, Locke.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.